Welcome to the Win Make Give podcast. Chad Hyams here, Bob Stewart over there. Bob, how you doing today?
I'm good.
I caught you reading something. Should I out you? Was it interesting?
No, I'm reading about our soon-to-be new friend that's going to join us today.
Yes, absolutely. What's going on your side of the world? Bob, I let me start and actually apologize to you.
Okay. You do owe me at least one I can think of. So it better be the right one.
That you can think of. I don't know what that one is. I'm apologizing. I did not wish you a happy 5950 day on May 9th when they officially have made that the 5950. And with your hat obsession, I should have reached out, Bob Stewart.
Okay, that is the thing that I was expecting an apology for. And so
really?
But you owe me many apologies, Chad. I don't know. Like, I do love hats. I do exclusively wear the 5950. But I think they got too many days for stuff, man. There's like a day for everything. 5950 day. Like, I had just gotten done celebrating May the 4th be with me or whatever. And now
and then Cinco de Mayo right after it.
Yeah.
And did you even know? Did you even know 5950 had its own day that they celebrated on 5/9?
No, that's what I'm saying. There's too many days.
All right. I think we should pick a day on the calendar to make the win.
I do celebrate Air Max Day. There is an Air Max Day. 420, is that one we're allowed to celebrate? I'm in Washington State. I can celebrate 420.
420, you can celebrate all year round up there in Washington State. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, that's on you.
Good. Yeah.
That's right. All right, Bob, let's get out of that conversation into this one because we have a guest today, and I'm sure this is going to come up, so I'm just going to put it out there. Bob, when I got the information from this guest saying he would love to come on Win, Make, Give, and join, and I told you about this person, I said, Bob, this isn't true. Like, this person is claiming to have started a company that I'm pretty sure we know the guy who started that company who we had just heard from. And I was like, this is a scam email, Bob. Until we did some research and found out that no. This is one of the names that is tied to this company that everybody's going to know.
He's like the guy before Howard Schultz at Starbucks. Like, Howard Schultz didn't found Starbucks. Let's not get it twisted, right?
That's right.
He's the guy before the one that many of us would come. Yeah.
The guy before the guy. So let's get to that and bring the guy before the guy to the conversation. Mark Rampolla, welcome to the Win, Make, Give podcast.
Thanks, Chad. Thanks, Bob. I am honored to be here. I follow you guys. And honestly, I didn't know we were going to get into that. So we're going to get into it.
We got to get into it. Before we do, though, they might not know who I'm talking about or what product yet we get beautiful bios. We don't read them here at Win, Make, Give. We want Mark to introduce himself as you see fit. Whether that part of it comes up in the intro or not, we'll get back to it right after.
Sure, happy to. So, Mark Rampolla. Brief background, born and raised in Pittsburgh, college in Wisconsin, Peace Corps volunteer for a few years, corporate career, and then back in Latin America with a corporate career after the Peace Corps. And I had the idea to become an entrepreneur, so started a brand called Zico Coconut Water in 2004 and quit my corporate job, moved to New York, and built that over 9 years, kind of case by case, consumer by consumer, city by city, and eventually sold it to Coca-Cola in 2013, and then became an active angel investor and then an institutional investor. I now co-manage a firm called Ground Force Capital. We're a $600 million investment management firm. We write checks, $20, $30 million in the brands like Liquid Death, Baby Bobby. But along the way, we bought Zico back from Coca-Cola. So one of our portfolio companies is Zico. I just got out of a board meeting for Zico today. I don't run it. I've got a great team running it, but I'm an active chairman of the board. And so in addition to, supporting and running, involved with a lot of our companies, Zico's one that is still very dear to my heart. And this year, we'll be bigger this year. We should be bigger this year than we were when we sold it the first time to Coca-Cola, and a hell of a lot more profitable and growing really, really nicely. So super excited to be here.
Congratulations. Now, Bob, I usually give you question one. Do you want it, or do you want me to dive right back into the topic that I do open this up with?
You can go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so Mark, here I am. I get the email. I'm the guy who screens our guests and books the talent that we're going to have come and share stories with us. I got your email, and of course, the first thing I said, I email Bob and I say, "Wait, wasn't this Jesse? Isn't this Itzler? I thought he was the Zico guy." Okay, you're the guy before the guy. Take us way back, because Jesse, obviously, a lot of our listeners have been at a conference where we had him as a guest, have listened to him, heard him. We know his story. Take us back to what it was like at that time, getting your business, bringing him along, and the explosion of what happened.
Yeah. Look, guys, I'm going to share something with you that people that know me know I do this, but you may not have many guests share this. I'm nervous right now. Okay. I wasn't expecting this. And I'm going to be a little careful about what I say and how. And it's fascinating because I was the founder of Zico, the sole founder of Zico. I was Howard before Howard, but I was also Howard the entire way. Okay. I ran it, built it, scaled it, sold it. Of course, there's a big we. So yes, the person we're going to talk about was around, played a role. I got 100 people that played roles, guys, 100. This time around, this person's also involved again, one of 50 investors and not anywhere near a big one. And so it's a fascinating situation because I consider Jesse a friend, and we'll talk through kind of how we connected and how we met, but it's fascinating. What's fascinating to me is to check in with myself and remember that, I now get why history is not just written by the winners, it's written by those that write it. Mm. And even though I've written a book, right? I'm not going out to talk to 4,000 or 5,000 people about it. I don't have 500,000 people following me on Instagram. So the story's there, right? But the facts are the facts. So we're going to talk through that a little bit. But what I will share is I spend most of my time dealing with founders, dealing with entrepreneurs. And one of the things I help them work on is their identities. What's their identity? Forget what the world says, forget what others say, that's out there. But what do you feel inside, right? And what do you bank on inside? And what's fascinating to me is, this quote, success has many fathers and failures an orphan. And so to a certain extent, if somebody's talking about Zico, I love it and it benefits me, right? But it's fascinating that, the way some people have chosen this. And it's actually not the first time. Like I've over the years had somebody say, "Hey, I know, oh, you were involved in Zico. I know the founder." I'm like, "Oh, really? Tell me you were." Right? I've had this happen with interviews. I've had people call me up for references. "Hey, so-and-so says they worked at Zico, or they were a provider or a vendor or something." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, maybe, but I don't remember them." And so is it legit? Were they small? Whatever. But I'll say this. Somehow we're going to dive into this. And what I'm going to tell you is both are true. I played the role the entire way, 2004, right, until when, Jesse and a lot of other people got involved. So I'll give you my story, but I will also tell you it's a big we. Every business takes a village. It takes a community. And there are literally thousands of people that this is actually helping me remember. I want to go thank. Jesse's among them, but there's a lot. There's a lot.
Bob, I think we see it in the organization that's our parent company, right? I mean, how many people say it's this person the whole time? It's a big we.
Yeah.
It's a huge we.
That's a really fascinating, Mark. Like, as I look back at my career, there are multiple things, Chad, where we know the real story, but there's a publicly told story that's taken on a life of its own in many ways. Never, like in none of those instances do I ever feel like anybody was necessarily doing it with any, ill intent, or it was just like they were building their version of the story,
or they were the writer of the book, as Mark said, right?
When it comes to and you have, look, I mean, we're just going to get into it. Like, look, I know Jesse, I consider her a friend. Sarah, his wife, is a friend. And I also know he's got a team. He's got a social media team, right? Sure. So what's fascinating is, despite all Jesse's amazing successes, right, I kind of look at this and say, how fascinating it is choosing to highlight Zico. And I imagine, well, the team is, he's got his story and the team is building a story. It's an interesting story and there's some different aspects. But I also realize Zico's getting big again, getting big. Yep. And so this is going to keep happening more. But let me give you the story from my lens, right? Please. And so
I feel like I'm getting some insider information here. Like,
what's that?
I said I feel like I'm getting some insider information. Like,
you are. You will. So start Zico in 2004. Quit the job. Yeah, some of the people that deserve early credit. My ex-wife was involved, super supportive. My sister was involved. Like, we had various teams every time. So 2004 to 2008, we're building little by little, but only New York. Make New York small, build in New York, you can build anywhere. So I had a very focused strategy. We're building. And along the way, my goal from the beginning when I started was sell to Coca-Cola. To build a brand that was attractive enough for them to come to me. And the goal was, why not, look, all the investors will make money along the way. Why not help Coca-Cola sell something healthy? You want to talk about win, make, give. The big give is Coca-Cola makes billions around the world selling something healthy, right? Yep. So build, raise a ton of money, different investors, different times. Come 2008, Zico is hot. We are one of the fastest growing beverages in the country. We're killing it in New York. We're working with the biggest distributor. Coca-Cola had just bought vitamin water for $4.2 billion. And they vowed, maybe 2007 or so, they vowed never again. So they form a group called Ventures and Emerging Brands. Ventures and Emerging Brands goes out, it's connecting with brands, looking at brands. I meet a senior guy at VEB, Ventures and Emerging Brands, 2000, maybe 7 or 8. In New York. They are poking around this big distributor, Big Geyser, which we were one of the fastest growing brands there. And they're asking what's hot. And they're saying Zico, they're seeing Zico everywhere. And I run into this guy and he tells me, Mark, we did a nationwide study of trends, not just beverages, health and wellness, other trends. And guess what showed up? Zico. And he said, can you believe that? Not coconut water, Zico. He said, can you believe that? And I said, well, yeah. And he said, well, why? And I said, well, let me guess. You did that research in New York, Miami, LA, Boston. Okay, yeah. You mainly focused on consumers that were going in Whole Foods. Yeah. You focused on active, young, that were in the music or in the whatever. Yeah. And I said, it's our audience. You just validated our thesis. The thesis was, we get that audience, we get you. Right. And so sure enough, he's like, great. Well, look, we're interested. So they had approached us. And so we're beginning to negotiate. We're having a conversation. I don't want to sell the company. So I begin to talk to them about a multi-step deal. At some point, they said to me, look, we love Zico. We love you. We want to get involved. We think that the space is going to be big, but man, it would be nice to have some sizzle. We think you've got the steak. We'd love to bring some sizzle. We know someone that we think can bring some sizzle. Let's just call it, someone that's in the ecosystem. And I said, I know who you mean. It's Jesse. I said, well, how do you know that? I'm like, I know. He's been to Brazil. He's looked at some supply chain. He's talked to these people. He's talked to some potential investors. I said, look, I'm interested in Jesse. We met once or twice. I think he's a good guy. I could imagine doing something. But are you telling me there's no deal if he's not involved? And they said, no. We just think it would be interesting. Are you open? So I said, I'm open. So Jesse and I met and with the Coke team and one of Jesse's advisors, and we hashed something out. And so basically we structured a deal that and I'll look, People give credit for different things, but there are a handful of people in the room that can vouch for this. In hindsight, I probably should have had an investment banker, but I played investment banker. So I structured this deal, 3 parties, multi-year structure. And in that, Coke put in a chunk of money. My investors put a chunk of money in, and Jesse and a group of investors put a chunk of money in. So then it was a partnership, and we had other partnerships, we had other investors, but this was a part of a full journey. Then the agreement was that Jesse at the time had a small firm. They would do some work. He did bring in some celebrities. We had a few celebrities. They brought in some more celebrities. And then, he and his team were supposed to help us on the marketing strategy going forward. The reality is, did it help? Absolutely. Did it move the needle? Not really. What moved the needle was blocking and tackling. Continue to execute in New York, roll out in Chicago, roll out in Miami, expand production, expand these things. That's what made the difference. So did it help? Absolutely. Do I think Jesse was a great partner? Absolutely. I think our distributor in New York was an amazing partner. I think our suppliers in Brazil and Thailand were amazing partners. I think we had a lot of great partners, amazing partners. And all of them could stand up and tell the world they played a role, right? Including the distributor in New York. I have for years, the father of the gentleman that's running it now used to tell the story about how he effectively discovered Zico and built it. And he's not wrong, because when I found him, we were a teeny little brand in New York, right? So again, it's like one of these areas where success has many fathers, but failure's an orphan. Now, when we went to buy the company back.
By the way, I'm sorry that the first time you said that, it didn't hit me. Now it hit me.
Now you get it.
Nobody wants to claim the failure. Got it.
Right? And here's how that plays out. I went to, we as a firm, my partner and I, Dan, had a conversation. Coke, during COVID, Coke announced they were selling off or shutting down 200 brands globally, focus on their core. A lot of big strategics did that. So I realized and learned Zico's going out with the trash. They got it, scaled it to maybe 100 million, should have been 5 times that. It's too small to be interesting for them. So they're just going to get rid of it. And so I had the connections, knew the head of global M&A, called her and said, look, I'm interested in buying it. And she said, great, we'll put you in the mix. So we being Power Plant Fund 2, which is me, my partner, and our investors, bought it. And that's just that fund. We're the only people that we bought it. We put together a team that was, half of them are still here and running the company today, that kicked that off. At some point along the way, I'd have to look back on the sequence of this. We decided to go outside and raise some money. So we now have, 30, 40 investors that would include the larger we, right? That invested. Jesse was among them, right? What I'll say is this. I personally I've done well, but there's well and there's well, right? I think I'm certain I personally have more money than almost any other individual investor in this company, in addition to the firm. So I love when people talk about we, right? But it's interesting how we can be interpreted and how it can be framed up, right? So that's the reality, right? So right now, we as our investment firm own, 50, 60 some percent of the company. And then we got a group of investors, some of which have written big checks and some have written small checks.
Okay, first off, awesome. You delivered.
I do feel like we got some insider information there. Right,
I was
Bob?
waiting for the inside. I feel like I got it. But you said something. Can we go back? Like, you're in the Peace Corps, if I'm not mistaken, and you run into coconut water down in Brazil. Is that right?
Well, yeah. Look, I grew up in Pittsburgh. I'd never been out of the country. Didn't speak a lick of any language, let alone Spanish. And at that time, at least, if you apply to join the Peace Corps, you can be specific on where you want to go, but then you might wait around, or you just tell them, all right, send me wherever you want. So I open up an envelope one day and it says, "You're going to Costa Rica." Now this is pre-zip lines, pre-Four Seasons. There's like, but beautiful, beautiful country for sure. I didn't even really know where it was. I had to look it up on a map. You know what I mean? So I show up in Costa Rica, and I can't remember exactly the day, but at some point it's like coconuts are around, right? You're at the beach, you crack them up or whatever. So it was a part of my life for 2.5, almost 2.5 years there. Backpacked around all Central America, coconuts all over the place. Even some years later, I'm working in Mexico. I literally was in a hospital with some sort of stomach, Montezuma's revenge or something. Wake up, and a nurse is giving me a coconut. I'm out of range of IVs. But it wasn't until almost a decade later that I'm back in Latin America, have a corporate job, that I begin to have the idea to become an entrepreneur, and then working through on the ideas for a potential, business to launch. That the coconut water was sort of like, I'm drinking it all the time. I'm going to miss it when I get back to the States. Vitamin water's taken off. Like, why isn't coconut water a mainstream beverage in the States? Let's make it one.
Okay. So it's a little bit less audacious now that I understand like the timeline, and there was like a decade of you going and having a professional career and then deciding that being said, it's still pretty audacious that you're like, I'm going to launch this thing that nobody really in the US is commercially sold. I assume it was being commercially sold like down in South America.
Barely.
Okay. So really there's not even a market for this particular thing. So I'm going to launch it and I'm going to sell it to Coca-Cola. Like from the outset, I think I heard you right. Like that was the plan. My God, man. How does one become so audacious in their plan or their goal?
And before you answer that, Mark,
maybe audacious is the wrong word.
It's not at all.
Okay.
I wanted to ask, is audacious like the word of the day on your calendar, Bob? Because you've worked it in like 7 times in the last 2 paragraphs.
It's impressive.
Okay. I'm just wondering where the word's coming from.
The word that I want to say, the phrase I want to say is irrational confidence.
It's irrational. That's the word.
It's irrational.
Absolutely irrational. Look, I can look back and see, to a certain extent, I wasn't rational at all, right? It was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. And it's what I've come to see is one of the reasons I love working with entrepreneurs is because there is something audacious. There is something irrational. And thank God there are irrational, audacious people in this world, right? Now, what I try to spend a lot of time with entrepreneurs is to help them understand even deeper than their why, understand themselves. Because very often we're trying to prove something. Very often we have this fantasy, this myth. I'll call it a myth. The myth is that I bought into. I didn't realize this until after I sold Zico. But I think the myth of entrepreneurship is have a great idea, audacious, bold, insane. Quit everything, go all in, work your ass off for as long and hard as it takes, build a business, and then you're going to make a pile of money, and then you'll be successful. You'll be free. You'll be free. You won. We're off. Everything's great, right? The challenge is that we all know that story. In many ways, I'm a poster child of a very improbable outcome. Coke had, there's I forget the number, 10,000, new beverages launched every couple of years. So the probability of an outcome like this is 0. And definitely hard work, definitely timing, and definitely luck, right? It takes all of those. And so what's fascinating for me now is to remember that, right? And there was a certain audaciousness to even try to do it again, but also understand that if that audacity is not tempered with some other self-awareness and some other tools and techniques, I'm sure you guys have seen this story, the case of people burning down their house, like literally burning down their lives, burning themselves out. And to circle back, like, what are the stories we want to tell? What is our identity, and how is that identity built on a win, a success, our own, somebody else's, right? That's what I really love to work with on entrepreneurs, because it's an incredible journey, but man, you can lose yourself.
What does that start to look like, Mark? Like, what is that journey of self-discovery for the entrepreneur to really get to the core of who they are? And, like, what is that? I don't know. Like, we probably don't have enough time to kind of go through everything you might do with it, but like, how does that start, I guess?
Yeah, look, I can tell you through a couple quick steps, because this is what I went through, and this is what I wrote about in this book I mentioned, An Entrepreneur's Guide to Freedom. And this is what I teach now. I teach a couple courses around this. I'll tell you, it starts with one thing. See and accept reality. You're trapped. Everyone is a lot less free than they think, even entrepreneurs, because we're all conditioned by the shoulds, the shouldn'ts, the musts that are around us. I'll give you a simple example. Almost every entrepreneur I know is modeling themselves after someone. They're trying to be like me, or like Chad, or like Bob, or like Jesse, whatever it is. And it's okay. You can look, you can learn. But at the end of the day, the best chance anybody has to be successful is to find themselves, find what they're great at, sharpen their own saw, build their own skill set, build their own path. And so recognizing that is the first step. We're all influenced by these things outside of us, this conditioning. The second step is that really get to know yourself. And there's some very specific exercises one can do. Take personality tests. You can take 360 feedback. You can, there's a number of techniques I use to help people learn to see their thinking. Don't believe everything you think. Write it down, question it, challenge it, get to know your feelings. This crazy thing we try to avoid, deny, and bury called emotions are just part of our life. Get to know them. They're okay. I teach people to catch the critic, because the entrepreneurs are the worst. We beat the shit out of ourselves, right? Know your inner critic, and can you love and get curious with yourself? It sounds spiritual, but it's a key to business. Unlocking success in business is get to know yourself, right? And because I'll give you a prime example. I used to go into a board meeting like this and think I have to know it all. I have to know it all. I have to be the most prepared. I have to be on top of it. I have to say the right thing. You know what I do now is I show up as me. And sometimes I have great ideas and sometimes I don't. And but what I know now is how can I be unattached to being right? I can share something. How can I let people know who I am? How can we learn about each other, right? So there are some really specific techniques and tools that I use to help people get to know themselves and ultimately unlock inner power.
Okay, so he dropped it in there. I want you to know the whole reason we were getting together originally was to dive into Mark's book, An Entrepreneur's Guide to Freedom, 7 Steps to Living Beyond Limits. Okay, and it's Mark Rampolla. It's spelled just like it sounds, folks. Amazon, the best place for them to get it, Mark?
Yeah, yes, it is.
Right. It's the easiest thing for everything in the world. I was going to ask you, you mentioned in there, freedom and all of that stuff, working with entrepreneurs. And now you tell us right off the cover of the book that it's the 7 steps to living beyond limits. We don't have time to dive into all 7, and I don't want to dive into all 7 because I want a reason to read the book.
Yeah.
Yet dive into the book a little bit for us and let us know, you've talked about some amazing stuff today. What am I going to find when I go page by page by page, reading a book written by a guy who's done what you've done?
Yeah, look, where this came from for me is, I sold Zico, and in theory, I had won, right? I had money in the bank, beautiful house on the beach, success, blah, 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 blah. But what I started to realize is that only lasted so long. And I started to, take on other projects, starting other businesses, starting nonprofits. And meanwhile, not taking care of my health. I'm investing a little bit like an idiot. I'm kind of struggling with how to manage money, not to have it. My marriage starts to fall apart, and I'm like, what the hell happened? Like, what did I miss? You know,
this was supposed to be the win. This is it.
right? So I went back and started to really look like, okay, what did I get wrong? What did I miss? How could I do this differently going forward? Because I still want to grow. I still want to make money. I still want to build, but I want to have that sense of success and satisfaction and freedom no matter what and along the way. And so this is what I went through. I kind of broke down. It wasn't quite as structured, but I broke down kind of what I went through. And my hope is that, you know, it's mainly for entrepreneurs, but any leader, really any person I think can read this and hopefully see themselves a little bit and realize, oh man, I'm not alone. Like I thought I was the only one that was trying to deny and avoid my emotions my entire life. Like, yeah, okay, no, you're not the only one. I thought they were the only one that told myself these stories. You know, one of the stories I write about is I'm in LA, and when I started to, you know, like when the homeless crisis got really bad, I'd be walking on the street and see somebody out of their mind, you know, screaming at the top of their lungs. And I started to realize, am I that different? I'm just not saying it out loud, but like I got all this crap going on in my head. I'm telling myself all these stories. Everybody's doing that, right? So to sort of level set, second of all is to help entrepreneurs see you're alone. It's lonely at the top. It's really hard to talk about this stuff. You talk about, oh, I'm suffering as an entrepreneur. You know, oh, I only made a couple million. You know, my company's only worth this. It's not worth it. Like people would laugh you at it, but it's real, right? Those insecurities, those uncertainties. Here I am with all my success, standing in front of you, and I got nervous all of a sudden. I had fear in me. This is just human. It's what happens. It's okay. And
Bob
then
doesn't.
guide them through some of these steps to hopefully accept themselves a little better, get to know themselves a little better, and chart the path they want to for their life. Not my life, your life, Jesse's life, their own life.
You said something earlier, don't believe what you think. That's so good. Like, try to talk to my boys about that concept all the time. I'm like, look, if that's what you believe, like, then that can be the reality, but you don't have to believe that thing. Like, you don't have to think that. How do you, like, what's your, do you have a go-to when you're like, you recognize some thought in your head that's not serving you well?
Oh.
You can like, do you have some way that you like just remind yourself you don't have to believe what you're thinking right now?
I do. So look, I'm a little bit of a hacker in my own way. I have tools that I use. I do share these, and you know, everybody's got to find their own. For me, I created this little thing I call the freedom key. And it is, I catch myself when I'm triggered. So when I feel an emotion, first of all, I've taught myself to learn, oh, yep, there I have emotional reaction. As soon as you know, this conversation started, it's like, oh, I feel it. Butterflies in my stomach, tightness, energy going. Okay, boom, I'm triggered. As soon as that happens, I know to go through this little key. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? What do I believe? Can I let it go? I think and feel I want to be free. The thinking is write it down. Oh no, like literally I made a little note. Oh no, this is bad. These guys are calling me out. It's going to be conflict. It's going to create conflict with Jesse, conflict with Sarah, with my team. What do I say? I'm ready for it. Next, second question. Lily would write it down. Am I certain it's true? Just that. Am I 100% it's true that it's a bad thing these guys are bringing this up? Am I 100% true it's a bad thing this creates some conflict with Jesse or Sarah? Is it a bad thing that my investor... No, I can't know that for sure. I can't know that for sure, right? So I work through literally this process. What am I feeling? Fear. Yep, I feel fear. I fear in my body. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, this is attacking my ego. I can see that. Okay. What do I really want? Typically, there's three things under every emotional reaction: a desire for acknowledgement, control, or security. So real time, I thought, oh yeah, there it is, acknowledgement. I want acknowledgement. Yeah, I want to be the guy. I want to be the man. I want to be the only man. Because you know what? I'm human. We want those things. Final step. Can I let it go? Can I just let that be? And if not now, when? I don't have to. I can hold on to that. I can hold on to it all I want, right? But when? You know what? Jesse's going to say it. Jesse's going to say, you're going to say what you're going to say. Can I let it go? And what that allows me to do is come back, be present, and I'm here again. I wasn't here. I was gone. I'm going in the past, the future. I'm everywhere, but right here. And in business, and this is not woo-woo. This, I could give you reams of science to support this. But I'll tell you this. In business, the only time that ever matters is in the present. You're doing a deal, you're having a conversation, you're here or you're not. And so when you can learn to get back to present, you got a chance of getting a better outcome, better what you want.
I love that. You know, and I'm going to.
We've done like 400 episodes. I don't know how many. Maybe we've had 150 guests. That's one of the best little segments we've had. That's like really powerful.
That's a reel right there if we were recording the audio.
To be able to take that and break down the very start of this conversation and kind of work back. Like you've clearly practiced this a little bit.
Thanks, Bob. Here's the crazy thing. Like I use this multiple times a day because it works. And you know, that's it. But I've also look, back to another thing. We all stand on the shoulders of giants. I can give you 10 people that I've stolen this from. Buying Katie combined with Sedona method, combined with a neuroscientist, I'm forgetting his name, combined with somebody else. I stole it. I stole it all, but I remade it in a way that works for me.
And we don't record the video. Our audience knows that. There's nowhere to watch these. Yet I saw you go through those steps at the beginning. When I asked you the question, I saw the stop. I could see you almost disconnect from the conversation for a moment before you were then able to process it through and then come back and say, okay, here's how we're going to address it. Now, folks, I'll give you a behind the scenes look at Win, Make, Give. Before we start, I usually ask our guests, is there anything you don't want me to ask you about? And Mark said, nope, I might not answer, yet you can ask me anything you want.
I think he said open book.
I'm going to come out of the gates asking the question our audience wanted to hear the answer to. So Mark, thanks for taking us through it.
You're welcome. And let me offer one other thing. The one other piece of this whole little freedom key, and I'll share this with you guys, is how could this be the best thing that's happened to me? How could this be happening for me? How just allowing that possibility, right? Maybe I get off this call and get a inbound interest that are terrible. It's the worst thing that happened, right? All these reasons it could be bad, but who knows? This could be the best thing that ever happened to me. This could turn Zico into something. This could bring up something Jesse and I need to clear. The other thing I practice is called a clearing. You know what you're reminding me? You know, the first phone call I'm going to make when I get off of this is Jesse, because this has been bothering me. It's been eating at me. And whether he answers the phone or whether he responds or not is irrelevant. I do it for me, because when I can own, I got a little disturbance here. It's an energy suck. I've been sucking energy on this. That's energy I want to put elsewhere. So when I can clear myself, create the opportunity to hopefully clear it with somebody else, man, then I'm in flow. Then I'm back in a space. So thank you, guys. Thank you. You've created an opportunity for me to clear something that's been
Mark, I don't think we give enough. I don't think we pay enough attention to all these little things that will suck your energy if you don't clear them out. Like it's just you go through the course of the day and you look back and there's all these little things that you're like, man, I wish I could have taken that to conclusion. And I think the more you do that, the less anxieties. I don't know. I'm an anxious person anyway. So maybe
you're nailing it. I call it an energy leak, because what I've come to see is time is not our limited resource. Money is not. It's energy. And you guys know this. Think of when you focus on something and it's like, man, you're in the zone, you're working, you're loving it, you're getting what you want. Like 8 hours can go by, and you can also get done in 1 hour what it might take a month, right? That's energy. So the opposite is all these little things. I don't really want to be in this meeting, but I'm here. I'm thinking about yesterday. I'm thinking about tomorrow. Am I going to piss him off? Am I worried about? They're all energy leaks. It's okay. It happens. But you start to plug those little leaks. It's unbelievable what can happen. And I'll share the other thing for me is those leaks used to mean I didn't know what to deal with them. At the end of the day, I'm exhausted. So have a drink, right? Or have 2 or 3, right? And then wake up in the morning, repeat the cycle again, or work out like crazy or whatever. So learning to see your energy and accept it and own it. Oh, yeah. So all this can be trained. All of it can be trained.
Folks, we have a new friend at Win, Make, Give. His name is Mark Rampolla. He's the author of An Entrepreneur's Guide to Freedom, 7 Steps to Living Beyond Limits. Bob, as you know, some people, when they're just releasing the book, they will send, well, me, not you, they will send me a copy. This is one of the books. I'm going to click order now myself, since it's already up on my Amazon window as I had it through this call. Mark, thank you so much for everything you chose to share with us. You have friends in Win, Make, Give. If there's anything we can ever do for you, don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Thank you both. Honestly, I'm so appreciative for this opportunity. It's one of these things where I didn't like it, but I love it.
There you go. It's like Bob going to therapy, and we're still working on getting Bob's therapist to be a guest on the Win, Make, Give episode. If you are out there
do not
listening,
answer any emails or phone calls from Chad. Do not.
If you are listening, finally respond to all the messages I keep sending you. Folks, go out there, order a copy of An Entrepreneur's Guide to Freedom. Remember the lessons Mark just took you through at the end of this. Go listen to this one a bunch of times. Someone needs to hear the message he shared at the end, because wow, I couldn't watch. Bob couldn't write any faster. We're going to have to go listen to the recording ourselves to get all the notes. Mark, we appreciate you joining us here. Folks, until our next episode, as always, do good.